I'll just play the base game as it is. But when I played Forza Horizon 5, I was like, oh no, I really like this. I'm going to buy the DLC. I actually really like Forza Horizon 5, so I'll buy the DLC. That's probably the same for a lot of people. They really like the game. Oh, I'll buy the DLC first. I'll actually buy some stuff for it because I really like it from the playing it for free on Game Pass. So that statement where it's just like, oh, Xbox gamers don't buy games, I was just like, that's completely full of shit. Like, yeah, maybe we don't buy it as much as PlayStation because we don't need to, but we still buy games. Like, yeah. I mean, for example, if for some reason, you know, the 2 Transformer games, Fallen and War for Cybertron, if those came back but they weren't going to go on Game Pass because let's say Microsoft Advantage, I'd buy them in a heartbeat because they were fantastic games.
It's just this, there needs to be, because I don't care what anyone says, I really do believe it, and it is slowly happening with what, especially in movies, with what like Disney's doing and stuff, but I do think there needs to be an online archive where people can purchase physical media, because being it on digital, once it all crashes, we need things that still have physical media. Physical media will trump everything. And I don't mean the president. I do believe that for video games, for movies, for books, for TV shows, for everything, there needs to exist an online archive where you can purchase stuff. Because you look at what like Disney Plus is doing with the stuff on, you know, they're changing movies or TV shows once it's done. Like there was a thing with what's that Tom Hanks movie with the mermaid? Oh, what's that fucking movie called? There's a Tom Hanks movie that exists where he like dates a girl, like she's a mermaid and she things to land, but like there's a scene where when she things on land, she's naked, and for a split second you see her ass cheek. Well, Disney deleted that, and then all of a sudden they added it back in later when people were like, hang on a minute now, why the fuck are you changing it? I think there needs to exist a platform for everything, games, everything, where, because there are people out there, because once everything disconnects, Game Pass will disconnect. And when people like, and I really think, especially with how we're seeing with like the elections and stuff, we're having people in power that do not care for things like this. And when it all happens, when we're all in World War III, I like Game Pass, and it has its perks, but I like streaming services like Netflix, but I think, you know, that there is people out there, and myself included, that do buy physical media, comic books, you know, DVDs. You know, I'm gonna be buying for Christmas. I'm gonna be buying that fucking Lord of the Rings stuff.
I told my dad about that. He went, nice.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do you know that Ronaldinho clip of him like licking his mouth?
Yeah.
Yeah, that when I saw that was literally me. I was like, I was literally doing the Ronaldinho.
Comic books is actually the only, you know, like I'm always advocating for like digital media, because I understand your point, but like I advocate for it for like, you know, resources on the planet. The only one where I'm actually where I prefer physical media because of just like the feeling of it is comic books. Like I just don't like the whole like on the screen just scrolling to page to page. I'd like actually sitting down with a book and flipping.
Same with books, dude. Comics, books. I remember I was talking to you know, Charlotte. To Charlotte, and she was saying that she reads books on the Kindle. She like does it 50-50. Like she went into a shop, and if the book is expensive, she'll look on Amazon, and if it's cheaper on the Kindle or on the Apple Books, whatever, then she'll buy it on there. And I'm like, I get that point, because you know, books are quite expensive, you know, but
yeah.
You know, there's just a different vibe than when you're flicking through a comic book, or when you're flicking through a magazine, a newspaper, or a reading book. It's different to on the screen, and I know like the Kindles and a lot of these like tablets and stuff, like they've put in place where you can change like the screen to where it suits your eyes when you're reading it before going to bed. But I was like, nothing beats reading an actual physical book, you know, than a screen. It's the same as like the only thing I'm fully understanding when people want to go digital, like streaming services, like like Game Pass, like Disney Plus, and all of that. I understand it, and they do a lot of good, and Game Pass is really good for gamers. But there needs to exist a platform that cares for the integrity of physical media, and this is Game Pass excluding, because once the game is done, you can't really change it afterwards, and if you do, is quite different to how like movies and how people. So when I'm talking about this, I'm strictly pointing it to like Disney Plus and like the movie world, not necessarily the gaming world. So like don't be offended. I'm not talking about Game Pass.
I'm already
but
offended.
Like the whole aspect of like you release something on streaming and then the streamer can change it afterwards. I don't like that. That has no integrity, because the filmmaker didn't intend for that to happen. Like when they got rid of the ass cheek. I know it's just an ass cheek, but there was a reason why the filmmaker put it there. There was a reason why the actress allowed for it to be in there. And then Disney, because of their brand, they were like, no, we can change that. You don't have the right to change stuff. You don't. It's on your streaming service for a reason. And I think all it needs to be is like basically an Amazon for every movie existing, because Disney's getting rid of their catalogue. Warner Brothers are getting rid of their catalogue. That if you've got scholars of the industry like myself, of the film industry, we want to watch the 1920 movies, the 1930 movies. Yeah, some people don't care for that, but there needs to if Warner Brothers isn't going to show on their streaming services, neither is Disney, neither is other streamers. If they're not going to show their old catalogue, then sell it to an online platform that do care about it. There needs to be like an online streaming service like Netflix that has all of Disney Plus, has everything to do with Disney since the 1920s, the first establishment of Disney. Same with Warner Brothers, same with Paramount. Like you got these studios that have a lot of history, but these people who are newly studying this industry don't have a clue that what you call it, fucking Disney Plus. Sorry, not Disney Plus. Disney's been around since the 1920s. They just know from the 90s onwards, with the golden era of like animation and stuff. They don't know. They just know this modern crap because Disney's changing it because of the remix and stuff. They are changing it, and I think it's losing the integrity of art first and foremost, which I find quite interesting, is that they're getting rid of their old back catalogue. No, like that is your history. Yeah, I just think I think there just needs to be a place and for people to purchase, kind of like, I know again it failed, but maybe in the digital era with like people doing their online shopping online. I think there needs to exist like an online Amazon for physical media of video games, physical media of movies, physical media of books, especially when you've got, don't mean to get political, but when you got Trump getting rid of American history, again, nothing to do with us in Britain, when you got Trump getting rid of certain people's cultures in the history books, I don't know if you saw it, but if a school is teaching African American history, and a person who is black learning about their history, their heritage, and where they came from and why they came to America, Trump is like, no, you're not teaching the children who are part of that culture. You're not teaching them that, and if you do, you're losing funding for the school. Then I really think that there needs to be a platform now that promotes books of any sort that's been around, because I think art does have an importance, especially the way that the
I
social
think there is a petition for gaming to do that. I don't know about films. Maybe
people
you can
are
get on
talking about it in
that,
films.
make a petition.
Yeah. Maybe I'll make a YouTube video. But I just think that, like, you look at what Disney, and it's only Disney with Disney changing bloodstains on certain trailers, Disney changing this, Disney changing that, and you're like, no, it's losing the integrity of the original piece.
Yeah.
It's the reason why, and I don't care what like someone like John Campea says, he can go fuck himself, but it's the reason why director's cut exists in the first place, right? When he's like, oh, the only true version is the one that comes out in theaters. No, you can make different versions. Let me tell you something. If you actually create something, you've created alternative edits of your thing.
Yeah.
Transformers 1, just to give you a better understanding of it. Transformers 1.
Transformers 1 or Transformers
the movie,
1?
the one that Transformers 1, the animation, the cartoon.
Okay.
The one that just fucking beat Venom 3 in box office. But
Wait, did that?
That's funny.
It
is.
Let's go Transformers. Back on
The
top.
director and the animators making that movie, they would have had different versions of that movie. The one that you saw
Well, the UK
in
version, the US
theaters.
version is different, Casey. When Megatron kills Sentinel in the US version, it was no music, or in the British version, it was music, and they changed a slight detail or something.
Yeah, but when but that's just different. That is just quite normal. But what I mean is, that is different. Like in the post production, when you're finishing a movie, when you're in editing and you're act 1, act 2, act 3, and when the director's going, oh, like, put that scene in there, put that in there. When you're actually piecing the puzzle together, there is so many different versions that are probably stored away and will never be seen until maybe a DVD feature or something to do with like streaming or something. That like, for example, Lord of the Rings, right? Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson's version. When they were putting that in theaters, they made a theater version, right? Which is the standard, which everybody saw, and that is a version of the movie. But a lot of people were like, a lot of it doesn't add up. You can feel a lot of scenes were deleted. When you're adapting shit like Tolkien, you know, it's going to be a long-ass stuff of explaining stuff. You know, Tolkien goes in, you know, into a lot of his novels. And especially in Return of the King. Like, that is a big book. A big book. And a lot of that book is open-ended as well. So it's like stuff with Shelob, like, Tolkien never said in a book that Shelob is dead. It's kind of that's down to you when you're reading it. If you think she's died, she's dead. If you don't think so, she's not. It's up to you. But it's but when you're adapting stuff like that, so when he releases the extended version, a lot of people are like, I'd argue to someone like John Campea, there is so many different versions of a movie. All of it needs to be shown. There's a reason why Avatar 1 made a shit ton of cash. It did, but when James Cameron released the director's cut, a lot of it was like, oh. The director's cut had a lot of action. The director's cut didn't have that, it's just a romance movie. A lot of the director's cut had a lot of what the new movie has, the second movie, The Way of Water. And that's why, like, that's why I'm very stern on the idea of physical media. Because I know for a fact streaming won't do what physical media does. You can watch two and a half hours of a movie in cinemas, right? And people will eat it, people call it shit, or people will call it like the best thing, right? And then when DVDs or Blu-rays come out, or 4K renditions of the movie comes out, there's a reason why director's cut exists. You can't put them on streaming services. Streamers won't allow it. For whatever reason, they won't. They won't allow different versions of the movie. So, for example, if they put Lord of the Rings onto Netflix, they'd only put on the 2.5 hour version. They won't put on the extended version. And I think that is a problem. Because, why not? And why are cinemas re-showing the extended versions, and people will go and watch it. People will have fun time at it, but streamers will think like, I don't want to. I don't want to put it on. I don't. It'll get the algorithm mixed up, and I think that's the problem. There is a lot of these streamers. I'm not talking about Game Pass, but a lot of these streamers, especially in the movies, it's algorithm. It's algorithm based. It's not actually human beings recommending you stuff. It's the algorithm. Everything is run by an algorithm, especially in the movies. Oh, you've watched this movie, they'll recommend you like this. And sometimes it's good. I've watched some good, I've watched a show, I don't know something, I'm getting recommended this other show, and I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
Why didn't why so very why did Netflix, like, you go through the whole Netflix catalog and there is movies and TV shows that are so good, seen very little marketing of. I'm gonna be honest with you, the movie that we watched, the horror one, Don't Move, saw one trailer and it was a teaser trailer.
Yeah. So
Very little marketing. Very good film though. Very good film. Very fucking good film. Saw very little marketing. Not. Yeah, and the thing is, not in the opening bracket. Like, you know, when you load into Netflix, it doesn't say "Don't Move," and you got to think visually, very good movie. It probably cost a lot to make, and Netflix is putting all this money out.
Fantastic, in my opinion.
And the thing is, they've got A-listers actors because the man, he's done American Horror Story and stuff. So he is a well-known actor. The girl is well-known actress. You got two quite big faces of the movie. No interviews, no marketing, no promotion, no nothing. But when Stranger Things comes out, or when Squid Game comes out, or when fucking this movie comes out, and I get it, because those are your hitting franchises. Those are the ones that, like, yeah, you know, I get it. You want to put them on the front cover. But why don't you have belief in Don't Move? After we watched it, I watched a bunch of, like, reviews on that movie, and people are saying, like, it's a really good movie, it's a fun time, and it's very little marketing. But the algorithm will recommend it to you. They hope that the algorithm will pick up on the trend. And I just don't get it, and I think, honestly, I think by the time I've retired and you've retired from said industries, whether it's me, you know, working in the movies in the future, or me being potentially a lecturer in the future, regardless, this in gaming, whatever, but I think by the time, and I'm going to make this bold prediction, but I think by the time we have retired, physical media isn't going to exist anymore, and I think that is a bad thing. And I'm all for the digital aspect of the world, but I think it's a problem when you don't care for the integrity of your physical media, because when it all goes down, what have you got? Everything's stored digitally.
Yeah. Do I think maybe somebody should do? You know, Lego I think it's either in a Lego house or I think it's in the Lego house. They have a vault underneath the Lego house with one set of every set they've ever released, from the first one up to the most recent one.